The mind is the most powerful tool in your arsenal. I created this podcast as a daily supplement for you to invest into your thinking. This is your
Daily Mind Medicine.
What's up, crew? Welcome to Daily Mind Medicine. This is a little bit different. I know most of our episodes are 3, 4, 5 minutes. People love that about the show. They're easy to get in and out of. But I just did a training for about 400 of our private clients, and it's all about mindset. It's all about how things grow. How do you grow in a good, healthy way? And Bryant, who runs all of our content, said, man, this is good. We got to get this into the Daily Mind Medicine queue. And I said, bro, it's 17, 18 minutes long. How are you going to do it? He said, man, it's worth it. People will go through it. So anyways, this episode is a little bit on the longer side, probably 20 minutes. Get through it. We'll be back tomorrow with our typical 3 to 5 minute episodes. Let us know how you like this. And I hope you are well, my friends. It's a great day for growth.
Today we'll just be conversational, talk about just mental endurance, especially I think what I want to talk to you guys today about is it's prime time due to what's going on in the world, but we're all quarantined. At least we are in Tennessee. I know Charlotte is the same way. So I am walking my neighborhood like 8 times a day, and I'm doing the garage workouts, which are awful. And there's nothing else to do besides work. So the other day, this is I think Saturday, I'm up at the front of the neighborhood. And if you've never been to my house or the neighborhood that we're in, we live in the back of the neighborhood. It's a newer development. And so we have these the house was built 2 years ago. So we have trees in the front yard, but they're like little sapling trees. They're like nothing. A tornado would rip them out of the ground. The front of the house or the front of the neighborhood, though, was built a long time ago, 15 years ago. And I was walking up towards the front of the neighborhood with Kate and Lindsay. And every time I'm up there, I'm like, man, these trees are beautiful, especially now. It's the middle of spring and the trees are starting to grow color and these massive trees. And I'm walking with Lindsay and I say, man, I wish that we had trees that were that big in our yard. And Lindsay, who's my wife, she looks at me kind of like I have a mental issue. Like she's confused. And she's like, well, babe, they've been here longer than ours. And I'm like, no, duh, I can do math. But I don't say anything. It hits me that moment. Obviously, the trees have been there longer. They've had more seasons to grow. And our trees were just dumped in 2 years ago. But I started thinking, like so many times in my life, something in nature reminds me of a principle for success. And I started thinking, isn't that how life works? Isn't this a perfect analogy, not only for how things grow, but for our impatience with the timeline things take to grow? So the title of the talk today is The Timeline of Success. The timeline of success. And if you're married in this group, you know that oftentimes your spouse can see things that you cannot see way before you can see them. And this was one of those cases. It seems really, really simple. Obviously, if I really think about it, I can think about the fact that a tree is not just going to magically spring up from the ground overnight. But most things in life are really, really simple. The things that I call the things that bring you over and over success. That's the kind of success you want. Like everybody knows the people in the world who have one-time success overnight. They had one business, that business, boom, shot up, then they lost it. I'm talking about over and over success. How many of you would like to enjoy some over and over and over success? That's a superior form of living. Let me just tell you, it's not when you can just grow traffic and funnels, but boom, traffic and funnels, boom, wealth gap, boom, sales mentor, over and over and over and over and record. That's the kind of success I want. I don't know what kind of success you guys want, but how many of you want over success where you can learn the recipes that propel growth, not just in business, but with your kids, with your family? So many of the things, so many of the recipes that can bring you sustained, repeated wins in life, business, family, etc. They are simple fundamentals. It's not, most people think they need to learn this new set of beliefs, this new strategy or new tactics, but those are not the most advantageous things for you to learn. Most of the time, it's the things you already know but need to be reminded of that are more important. And there's another little key is that I love every once in a while we have a client come through and that client will blow up, they'll explode their business, and then they leave because they feel like there's nothing new for them to learn. And as if last month we did $1.1 million in TF, we did $370,000 in Sales Mentor, we had $500,000 in Sales and Wealth Gap. As if we have created that by learning new stuff. You give me a break. The things that you already know but need to keep top of mind, those are more important. Ultimately, what I landed on, going back to the trees. Everything's got to go back to the trees. All right, let's go back to the trees for a minute. The question I landed on is all the way back to the house. I was thinking about this, and I'd lost the respect of my wife because she had to remind me that trees take time to grow. And so I was like, contemplating how to get that back. I thought to myself, how many times in my life have I put some sort of effort into the ground and then I've gotten discouraged, not because it wasn't producing growth, but because it was not growing as fast as I wanted it to grow, despite the fact that nature doesn't work that way. And I think if you're honest with yourself, most of the disappointments in your life are not because things are not moving. It's because of the timeline at which they are progressing. I mean, this is one of those all-time simple truths that people don't realize until they're reminded of it. But there's very likely there's not that much in your life that you are truly disappointed because there's no movement. 99% of y'all's disappointment is probably coming from you not being happy with the timing without realizing that this is how nature works. Like, if you're the person that wants to plant the seed into the ground and then tomorrow you wake up and you're mad that it's not a 100-foot tree, then you're the one that people laugh at. You're the one that has the issue because you do not understand timing. So let me tell you the most dangerous outcome that you could possibly have in your life. I'm going to give it to you, and then we're going to talk about 3 truths from this story. I've trained a lot of people. I've coached a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people crash and burn, and I've seen a lot of people win. I think one of the most dangerous things, and this is just like, I want to hit this home because I feel like the timeline, that whatever timeline and whatever journey you are on your journey. And if I categorized everything up, I think one of the biggest dangers, one of the biggest risks to you not developing into the leader that you're supposed to be, or the spouse that you're supposed to be, or the whatever, is big success granted quickly without the necessary root structures to support it. Big success granted quickly without the root structure to support it. I've seen it so many times, where somebody will come in and they'll learn the right recipe for one area and they'll have explosive growth, but they don't have the root system to support that growth, and they end up disappearing. They end up going backwards over and over and over. I've seen it happen over and over, all the way back into 2015 when we first started Traffic and Funnels, and then a lot more recently. And you're like, what are the roots of success? What am I talking about with root system? Character, discipline, patience, servanthood, honesty, all of these things that culminate into not just you being a good entrepreneur. How many entrepreneurs do you know that are good at business, but they suck at life? So many. Now, how many people do you know who can make money, but that's all that they can do? The richness in your existence is not the level of money that you have. It's the level of person you are. And money is just a tool. And granted, you're here to learn how to make more money, but I'm rewiring us back to the fundamentals today. And some of you need to be reminded that the prize here is not just the outcome. The prize here is not just the $50,000 a month business or $150,000 a month business. The prize is not the outcome, and you're living as if it is, and it's messing you up. The prize is the process that you will learn that you can take with you for the rest of your life. Many people come in expecting one big outcome, and that's the money. Essentially, they want one big tree to grow and thrive and flourish overnight, but they end up realizing that instead you got a process that you can take with you in life that will bring you over and over success. There it is again, repeated success. And why would we just give you one big tree, one outcome, when we can give you the seeds and the process to grow whatever it is you want to grow for the rest of your life? Some of you just need to be reminded that, like, look, you may have had like a bad month, but like, are you really going to hang your hat on whether your your month was good or bad? Like, is that the peak of your identity? Is, man, if business is good, then I'm good. If business is bad, then I'm bad. Some of us just got to grow up. Like, that's called being a child. Like, Kate doesn't get to do what she wants. And so therefore her life is awful. There's no context. There's no segmentation. And I think sometimes the sad part is adults act this way. And if they don't have, they're not setting a record, or they move backwards 1 month, all of a sudden they are not good. Their life is not good. What is wrong with us that we cannot see past simply the outcome into the process? Correct me if I'm hitting too close to home. This is just what's on my mind. What you could say that the definition of a child is you want a 30-second, and you invest 30 seconds, and then you wonder why you're left stuck with the 30-second outcome. You want to invest a minute, and you're going to get exactly what you put into the ground. And this is both wonderfully empowering and devastating at the same time. Because if you look back at your life and you actually are honest with yourself, how many times have you you've short-circuited the process, and you've put forth a 30-second outcome expecting a 20-year, or you've put in a 30-second effort expecting a 20-year return? You're not going to make that. Like, let me just assure you for a minute, like, you talk to some of the people on our team, Alex Navas, Tom Vieira, Peyton, Mike Heiser, Chris. I have bled for this for many, many years. I have planted, I have toiled, I have harvested, I have stayed out, and I have endured pressure after pressure. I have not invested a 30-second investment. I have gone through the years, and now I am finally extracting the outcomes that are worthy of the effort that I've put in. What you're getting in your life right now is a reflection of what you invested 2 years ago, a year ago. Just to use a crappy analogy right now, there's the coronavirus, the COVID-19, and everything's going on. And it's heartbreaking that people are suffering from this. It's heartbreaking that people are dying from this. But, I watched the press conferences, and it's like we have the cases and then we have the death toll. And what's hard for people to wrap their head around is that where we are right now with cases, because of the length of time it takes for this disease to actually show up in symptoms, where we are right now in terms of new cases is not a reflection of today. It's a reflection of 3 weeks ago. And where we are in the death rate is a reflection of where we were 6 weeks ago. And so you've got all these people who can't figure out, because they don't know how to do math. And God knows how they are even walking down the street without tripping. But you got these people who do not understand that there's a lag between the cause and the effect. And the same exact thing happens every single day in entrepreneurs across the world. They do not understand that what they're harvesting now is not a reflection of you yesterday. It's a reflection of what you were willing to put into the ground a year ago. So you have two choices to make. I mean, you can complain about your life right now, which is like probably not productive. It's just going to get on everyone's nerves. It's going to make you look like a psycho. Or you can say, you know what, this month, 2021, I want to have a different outcome. So I'm going to begin investing things now that I am going to pull out of that same investment a year from now, or 6 months from now, or 3 months from now. We've got to get away from this instant gratification mindset, because it is, truthfully, it's choking you off and preventing you from being able to make long-term investments that are necessary. Real quick, just before I get into the three things, write this down. The timeline of your outcome. The timeline of your outcome is dictated by the time spent in your process. The timeline of your outcome is dictated by the time spent in your process. What does that mean? Stop shorting the process and complaining why your trees aren't growing fast enough. That's what that means. All right, 3 keys for today. 3 keys for today, tying into the lesson, tying into the stories, tying into the analogy, because at the end of the day, you should be shooting for application. I can make you feel good. I can make you excited. I can get you inspired. But at the end of the day, I want you to hang up off of this call, and I want you to be motivated to what? Action. I want you to be inspired to what? Application. I want you to actually have the keys necessary, not just to feel better, but to be empowered to go out and do stuff to move your life and business forward. Number one is obvious, but it's worth noting nonetheless. Big things don't spring up overnight. Put this in parentheses. So you got this first lesson, big things don't spring up overnight. Put this in parentheses. Don't fall into this trap when comparing yourself to others. Don't fall into this trap when comparing yourself to others. It's fine if you want to compare yourself to me. It's fine if you want to, comparison in and of itself is not really the healthiest drug of choice. So I'm not giving you permission to do that. But if you're going to compare, make sure you compare the roots, not the height of the tree. You're not going to grow what I've built in 6 months. You're not going to grow what we've done in 1 year. You're not going to grow it in 2 years. Because what you can see of traffic and funnels is only part of the picture. It's only 20%. 80% has been dug into the ground. It's the byproduct of our integrity. It's the byproduct of our character. It's the byproduct of doing the right thing over and over, even when that right thing is costly, for 5-6 years. Big things don't spring up overnight, and don't fall into this trap with comparing yourself to others. Number
100%.
2, always remember when you see something that has grown tall, when you see something that has withstood the test of time, that thing has been through equal parts cold, winter, equal parts summer. Isn't this obvious? Isn't it obvious? Like, if you have a tree that's been around for 30 years, that tree has been around for 30 summers, but guess what? 30 what? Winters. But here's the explanation. To bear fruit, you have to go through fruitless seasons. There is nothing in existence today that is productive that has not also been through unproductive seasons. There's no person you look up to that is currently experiencing abundance and currently experiencing surplus and currently growing. There's nobody that you look up to that is currently moving forward who has not also been moved backwards. It's the great counterbalance of the world we live in, is every time something goes through a summer, it is followed by a winter, or vice versa. So what does that mean? It means that if you're in a season where you feel like it's winter, oops, you're in a season where you feel like there's no harvest. You're in a season where you feel like you're doing a lot of work, but nothing's moving forward. Welcome to the club. You're in a great place. You're in a season of fruitlessness that will be followed by a season of great fruit. Make sense? Here's a third lesson, and we can do some Q&A. Please do not despise your small beginnings. Please do not despise your small beginnings. For all things that are big started out long ago as small. Nobody knew who I was in 2014. And probably what is also equally true is nobody cared. Matt didn't know who I was. None of our team knew who I was. Nobody cared. Everything that you see and look up to today started at one point very, very small and very insignificant. It's not fair to you to discredit yourself because you are not, quote, big. It's not fair to you to discount your vision because you're small. Small beginnings is a necessary ingredient to anything that grows big. Don't hold yourself accountable to a small beginning. Take pride in it. Take pride because you can say this, and this is absolutely true. If you are small today, if you are without a lot of revenue, without a lot of influence, without a lot of followers, what you can say that is absolutely true is you are starting in the exact same place that Taylor Welsh started, that Tony Robbins started, that every single person started, because we all started with nothing. So don't despise your small beginnings. 1, 2, 3, boom, boom, boom. That's all I got.
DailyMindMedicine.com